Good evening, and welcome to WANA Live, the reading series of the Writers Association of Northern Appalachia. I'm your host, Naomi Andrasik. This is your other host.
Hey, you pointed in the right direction tonight, Christina Fasonic. I wanted to remind everybody tonight, before we get started, that in 2 weeks, the Writers Association of Northern Appalachia will be represented at the West Virginia Festival of the Book in Charleston. It's a couple weeks from now, I think. And to please come and see WANA there. We will be there on October 25th. And we'll be there, and the organization will be there all day, selling books and talking about what we do and hopefully getting some new members.
I'm looking forward to it. And next, when are we doing this? We're also going to Lit Youngstown.
Yes, but we're not vending there.
We're not. No. Yeah,
we're just going, and we are both in a play. And that should be fun.
Table reading. We're not in a play.
Excuse me, a table reading of a play. And I will be presenting about how to incorporate research into your writing process. So come see us.
Also, our other members from WANA will be in the table reading.
That is true. There will be other members from WANA there. In fact, I think most of the people that will be reading will be from WANA.
That's true.
Yeah.
Also, the play is from WANA.
She is. So something ahead.
Wonerific.
Anyways, so tonight we have a new writer on who's not been on the show before, and I thought I would tell everybody about him and then bring him out so we can talk about his work. So the proud son and grandson of farmers and coal miners, TJ West is a queer writer and culture critic. He holds a bachelor's degree from Marshall University and a master's and a doctorate from Syracuse University. Though he is based on Maryland's Eastern Shore, one of my favorite places, where he lives with his partner and their cat, the Mountain State will always have a piece of his heart. So I'm going to bring TJ out. Hello, TJ.
Yeah, it's always great to join up with other Appalachian writers. As you can see, I have my New River Gorge background in honor of this. I do it every time I have, little Zoom events. I think it's a nice little touch.
Yes. And it's too bad that the Mountain State doesn't look that beautiful right now, but this drought has ruined fall.
It really has, yes. My parents have been telling me about it.
It's just brown. It's
I'm doing my best to enjoy it.
Okay, Damien, go ahead. Anyways, TJ, what are you reading from tonight?
Well, I am reading from my debut queer Appalachian romance,
That's
Country
wild
Road.
how you pulled it right out of that forest.
I came right out of the mountains.
Yes, it's like I planned all this. It's stagecraft. This is why you're a queer writer, so you learn stagecraft.
Did the Mothman hand that to you?
No, but funnily enough, the house across the street from me has a rainbow Mothman flag, and I have yet. I know, and it has y'all means all, and I keep meaning to wander over and be like, so are you from West Virginia, or are you just posers? Because I'm dying to know, but I'm not brave enough to just sort of wander over and ask these young people what they're doing in my neighborhood.
I'm going to need an update.
One of these days I will get the gumption to go over there.
You've got to tell me what happens. I need to know. So
I know.
This is your last book, and you're working on your next book now, right?
I am, yes. Which is also Appalachian influenced. I'm putting the finishing touches on revision. I'm sending off the design stuff for the cover designer to start designing the cover. So it's titled Bound by Blood and Stone. And so it's kind of a queer Appalachian romantasy. So I'm very excited about that too.
Very cool. Well, we will disappear for a little bit and listen.
All right. So just to sort of set the stage for the book so you kind of understand the scene that I'm about to read, the book focuses on Jared, a struggling writer living in Huntington, and Charlie Garrett, who's a successful movie star who comes back to West Virginia for a weekend for a film festival. Now, during the course of this, they have their meet cute. They end up, bonding, but then Charlie loses his temper and punches a homophobe while in Huntington. And so they end up having to go to the Northern Panhandle where Jared is originally from. And so they have this bonding magical weekend moment. And so the section I'm going to read, and I'm going to time myself, so if I go too long, I'll cut myself off, is when they're about ready to go to Jared's hometown. It's called Anna Maria, which is a place in West Virginia, but the town itself that I'm writing about in the book is based on my own hometown of Cameron. And so if you're out there in the audience and you've been to Cameron, I'm sure you'll recognize some of the things that they're describing. So again, I'll time myself just so I don't go over time, 6 minutes tops, but hopefully this will give you an insight into Jared and Charlie and sort of Jared's struggles with his Appalachian, particularly his West Virginia identity, coming from a small town and all that sort of stuff. And then, we can talk about it. People can ask me questions or whatever. Okay, so I will start now. It took about 20 minutes to get from Jared's parents' place to Anna Maria, and the road was, like so many others in West Virginia, full of twists and turns. Charlie, of course, was used to this type of thing, as he reassured Jared when he started to apologize for the road. Believe me, they're even worse down south below Morgantown, he said. Not only do they curve and switch every which way, there are also potholes that could easily swallow a car. They both had a good laugh at that. The real joy of the drive, though, was just how beautiful it was. The road curved along the ridge, which meant that you could look out on the hills and valleys on either side. Small farms were scattered along the hilltops, and the trees were also in their most beautiful state. It had been just the right amount of wet and dry this year, obviously not like this year, which meant that the splendor was even more vibrant than usual. Even though he would never have admitted it aloud, Jared actually felt like he was home. Finally, they came within the last few miles of Anna Maria. Are you ready to see the sprawling metropolis that I spent my formative years in? He said, or asked. I told you before that I was looking forward to getting to see the place that you grew up, Charlie said. And I meant it. I do wonder, though, why you're so intent on being so down on it. Was it really that bad? Jared was honestly not sure how to answer that. He hadn't had the worst time of it in high school. A select few people had known he was gay, and for the most part didn't make a big deal out of it. But there was still a pervasive feeling of homophobia. It was there in the way that people would look at him while he walked down the hallway, and the way that they would sometimes lean over to whisper to one another. He tried to explain some of this to Charlie, but he finally got frustrated with his inability to convey exactly what he meant and went silent. I guess a lot of it might have been in my head, he said. Charlie shook his head. I don't think you were necessarily imagining all of it. Things were different back when we were growing up. And it's true that West Virginia, particularly small town West Virginia, can be very reluctant to change its ways and come into the 21st century. But still, don't you have any fond memories of high school in your hometown that you like to think about sometimes? Jared rather wondered why Charlie was being so insistent about this, but he decided to humor him and try to think about some of the things about his home that he actually liked. It ended up being surprisingly easy. Well, he said, drawing the word out, I liked the way that my school was small enough that you knew everyone from the time that you were in kindergarten until you graduated from high school. True story. By the time it was over, you felt like you really understood everyone else, that you'd been through it and survived. I liked the way that we'd all get together to go to the 2 restaurants in town, gathering every Friday night after the football game. I loved the ice cream shop that used to make sundaes that were even better than Dairy Queen's. His face fell. Unfortunately, most of those places aren't in business anymore. He barked a bitter laugh. I'm afraid that the 21st century hasn't been as kind to Anna Maria as it has been to some other places in West Virginia. He sighed. I wish that it was different, but that's just the way it is sometimes. For the first time, Jared really took a minute to think about what it meant that Anna Maria wasn't the same town that it had been when he was growing up. He still felt a lot of fondness for it, but it was a shadow of its former self, and this impression only got more intense as they came within the limits of the town itself. There were far more empty storefronts than there had been when he was in school. The saddest were those that still had a few objects left in their front windows, a reminder of what they used to be. It's not much to look at, is it? Jared asked as they drove down Main Street. At least the library is still open, he thought glumly. I wouldn't say that, Charlie said, as always trying to look on the bright side. There's something cute about it. Looking around at it, you can see what it used to be, and you can also see what it might be if someone cared enough to pour some money and energy into it. Jared tried to hide his skepticism about that particular idea. It wasn't that he didn't think Anna Maria and its residents didn't deserve another chance to flourish. It was just that he didn't think there was likely to be any sort of movement on that front. Not anytime soon, anyway. Still, he wasn't going to pour water on Charlie's idea. You know, Charlie went on, I can actually see a way in which this town could reinvent itself as a little artist colony, like a lot of the small towns in the southern part of the state. There could be little galleries and shops. Local artisans could offer classes and stuff. Surely there are enough people Surely there are enough people here with that artsy spirit to make it work, right? I honestly don't know, he said. I haven't been that plugged into things here for a very long time. You should think about asking your parents about it. They might even want to get in on the act. Jared didn't think that was likely. Neither of his parents were particularly artistic in temperament, but maybe it was worth a try. For a while, he just sort of drove around the town aimlessly, showing Charlie all the places that meant something to him. The public library, obviously, but also his old high school, which had been converted into a community center once the whole county consolidated, and the small town market, which doubled as a pizza shop, and which, like the library, was still miraculously open. And that is the Dragon Mart, if you've been to Cameron, so you probably recognize that. Charlie kept asking questions as if he really did want to know about the place and Jared's relationship to it. This guy really is too good to be true, he thought. There was finally just one last place that he wanted to take Charlie to, the one place that he'd always been able to find peace and welcome, even when the rest of his life felt like shit. He was going to take him to Streeter Park. There was something more than a little miraculous about this little bit of green space that sat on the edge of town. It had been in Anna Maria since its founding in the 1800s, and despite all the ups and downs that it had faced over the years, it had somehow managed to stay largely the same. It was as it had always been, a little island of green beauty in the midst of a town that had seen better days. So I'm going to just stop there and to fast forward, Jared and Charlie have an intimate moment. They kiss, and it seems like everything's going to be great. So that's just a little snippet of Country Road Romance that I think speaks to the book and sort of the larger issues that I kind of grapple with in the frame of the romance.
You're muted, Damien.
Sorry, somebody was supposed to do something with a dog while you were reading, and they didn't.
Well, TJ's cat was in the room. I could hear it.
He sure is. Yes, he can't stand him doing something. He has to get the zoomies and run all over the house.
I was waiting for him to come out of the mountains.
I was too. I was like, he's gonna come under the camera. I just know it. So
go ahead, Damien. I'm sorry.
No. I was just gonna say that I'm curious to hear more. So yeah, I'm not saying like no. I was like, oh, you definitely have piqued my interest with the characters, the setting, getting a sense of a world and the people who inhabit it.
Oh, I love to hear that. I mean, this is a story that is indeed it's near and dear to my heart, not just because there's a little bit more than a little bit of me and Jared, but also just because I think that it speaks to the complicated feelings that a lot of queer people have about West Virginia specifically. Like I think of myself as Appalachian, but West Virginia is my heart and soul. Like, then I really I frame this as my love letter to West Virginia, and all of the things that I write are in some ways love letters, complicated love letters, but still love letters.
Yes, it's an imperfect place, but it's home.
It is really.
Well, and you know that I know where Cameron is. I was born in a suburb of Cameron, as I love.
Yes.
And for the people who don't know, Cameron is a very, very small. I guess it's more like a village now.
Yeah, I mean it's like roughly 950 people, and I mean even when I was in school, it was like maybe just shy of 1,000. So it's never really been like, big, but it has its staying power.
At one point, it was quite large when the railroad went through and things like that, like in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and it was actually very important at one point because of the things that were made there. But I'm really curious, as somebody who's struggling with writing about a place that exists, why did you choose a fictional name for this town and not just use Cameron?
That's a good question. And part of it is because I sort of stumbled on the name Anna Maria when I was just driving around Doddridge County. And I was like, wow, I really like that name. And it was just very evocative. And I've sort of toyed with it in various aborted fiction projects. And so I wanted a place that was grounded in reality, but not necessarily like limited by reality. Because Cameron doesn't have a Streeter Park, for one thing.
Yeah, no, I was like, wait a minute, where is that?
Yes. So, I mean, there are parts of Anna Maria that are Cameron-ish, but I kind of wanted to play with what Cameron was like. And I didn't want to necessarily be limited by the real Cameron.
Well, that, and you also, I had a reader come up to me for a historical novel I wrote. It said, you put that store on 8th Street and damn well it's on 10th Street.
Yes. Which, I mean, because part of the story is also set and it begins in Huntington. And so like in that sense, I was very clear about, things had to be where they needed to be. But then I was like, well, I want this town to be an homage to Cameron, but not to be like exactly a replica. So there's some elements of like 100 in there as well, which is another small town in the next county over. And it's, it's kind of just different small towns in West Virginia, but there's more than a little of Cameron. Like I said, the Dragon Mart and the Sunday shop I mentioned was Drake's Dreamy Delight from back in the day.
Yeah, and pepperoni rolls, you can't beat Dragon Mart's pepperoni rolls.
That is absolutely true. That is absolutely correct.
The claim to fame for them. And it's interesting too. I think for so many years of my writing career, people were like, why would anyone write about small rural towns?
Yeah.
Why would they set a story in a place that most readers probably won't go to? Or why not New York City? Why not LA? Why not whatever? And I always say, well, one, I've never lived in any of those places, and I don't really have a thing that I want to say about that, but I have lived in small Appalachian towns, and I might have something to say about those places. Not that you always have to write what you know,
sure,
but why not write about the complexities that happen in small Appalachian towns?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's why I wanted to write, this, and all of my subsequent novels in one way or another are, grappling with the question of place. And, because everybody is grounded in place, but I think the nature of West Virginia as a state, the nature of Appalachia as a region is that we have a really strong connection to place, both willingly and unwillingly. Like we can't ever shake it off, even if we wanted to, but most of us don't want to, because there's a sort of solidarity that comes with being looked down on. And I think that there's a power to that too. And that's why I love writing about places that are so firmly tied to a distinct sense of identity.
And, being the underdog, there's definitely, we're in a little dog clan together.
Really?
Because no one, all these people think they know who we are. They think they know West Virginia. And in reality, they don't at all. There are people here that defy stereotypes. There are people here who fit stereotypes. It's just like any place else, but it's definitely not homogenous. And I think that's, the perception of where we live or where I live. So you did get a comment here from Donna Zarilla, who's a regular watcher of the show.
Right.
And she said, terrific dialogue.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And I agree. I really like the dialogue. And dialogue can be a challenge to write, especially in rural places where you struggle with, do you write the way that people sound or do you not? Or how do you, sort that out?
Yeah, and I don't tend to write a lot in like vernacular, but I do try to like do justice by like the very unique kind of ways of different regions that West Virginia has speaking. No one in my books says yuns. If I ever do a reissue, I'm going to definitely throw in some yuns there because I don't think that. I mean, Jared, as a northern panhandle boy, would certainly have said yuns at some point.
Oh yeah, yuns. I mean, that's what we say. We don't say yins. We say yuns.
Yep.
Yep. We don't say nibby. We say nibby, and Pittsburghers say nebby.
Yep. Nib nose. Yep.
Yeah, and it blew me away. Like I didn't realize it was there was that difference. So, anyways, well, thank you for coming on the show and for reading and for giving a voice to
find this book.
Sorry,
if they're interested in reading it, where can they find this book?
Oh, yes, of course. So you can find it really anywhere. Amazon, obviously, but you can also, if you want signed copies, I'm happy to do that. Just go to tjwest3.com. It's an easy setup. You just go to buy my book and you can click through Square. But it's also available at a lot of West Virginia bookshops. Pretty much all of them, I think. Parkersburg, Huntington, Charleston, I think they all have them. So it's really kind of everywhere. I've made a really point to make it as accessible as possible. So wherever you want to buy it is fine with me. And it's also an audiobook. So it's really in all forms, paperback, ebook, and audiobook.
Oh, great. Well, thank you, TJ.
Well, thank you all. This was fantastic. I love talking with other Appalachian writers, especially you two, who I have a special fondness for.
Well, thanks. I'm so glad that we met at the WANA conference.
Me too.
Oh, wait, you go. One more comment. I want to make sure we show that. It's from Stephen Cohen, and he says, thank you for the reading. Very evocative descriptions.
Oh, thank you, Steve. That's my former dissertation advisor and very good friend. So it's very kind of you to say.
I love to hear that.
He doesn't give compliments easily, so I'm very happy and flattered.
All right. Well, see you later and see everybody next week. Good night.
Yes, take care, everyone.